Welcome to the channel, Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, fresh in from work and winging. Women tell trial Christopher Britton confessed to them, or women tell trial that Christopher Britton confessed to them that he killed his mum. 3 women have given evidence in court about the moments they allege Christopher Britton told them he was involved in his mother Dorothy's death. Dorothy Britton was found dead with gunshot wounds at her home in Jubilee Pocket near Arley Beach, far out, this is in Australia, on March 7, 1996. Her son Christopher Britton was arrested and charged with murder in 2018 and has pleaded not guilty in the Supreme Court in Mackay. On Friday, Britt Neal and Deborah Allen appeared in court as witnesses where they said they visited the home Dorothy had died in to have oxtail stew with Mr. Britton. The two had differing accounts of when the dinner happened, with Miss Neal saying it occurred in the 1990s, while Mrs. Allen said it occurred in the early 2000s. Miss Neal said they had gone around for the stew and to pick up some cannabis from Mr. Britton. Drugs again. He just mentioned that they won't find who did it, as it was him and they weren't going to find the rifle, Miss Neal said. He was really calm, like we were just talking about the weather, just casual. Some key points. Christopher Britton has pleaded not guilty to murdering his mother Dorothy Britton at her Jubilee Pocket home near Arley Beach in 1996. About 30 witnesses have given evidence so far in a trial that is expected to last until mid-next week. On Friday, 3 women fronted the court, giving evidence that Mr. Britton allegedly confessed to being involved in his mother's murder. Mrs. Allen said she had gone to the bathroom, and when she got back, Miss Neal mentioned that to her. I went back into the kitchen, sort of startled and scared, and questioned about what happened, she said. I can't remember what had happened after that. All I know is we wanted to get out of there and finish the dinner as there were still guns on the property. I was still scared at that stage. I remember something about the mentioning of 1 bullet is all that was needed, and that's about it. During cross-examination, defence barrister Jacob Robinson highlighted disparities between Mrs. Neal's police statements, committal hearings and the trial. He said Miss Neal had said in statements Miss Allen was present during the confessional conversation, but later in the trial changed her answer to say she was not in the room, rather she re-entered soon after. He also highlighted how Miss Neal told the trial she was not under the influence of cannabis a lot of the time, while at the committal hearing she said she was under the influence of cannabis a lot of the time. Well, she ain't the only one, by the sound of it. In her cross-examination, Miss Allen said she had visitors on her first visit to the Timberlands Road home, that she was... In her cross-examination, Miss Allen said she had visions of her first visit to the Timberlands Road home, that she was Dorothy getting shot. She had visions that she was Dorothy getting shot, right. She said she felt a presence in the courtroom and she had predicted the September 11 terrorist attack before they occurred. It was quite messy. Christy Jarvis told the court Mr. Britton visited the house of her and then partner Mark Devlin around May 1996, 2 months after Dorothy's death, to buy some cannabis off Mr. Devlin. Drugs! When he came to the house, he broke down and told us that he killed his mother and what had happened, Miss Jarvis said. He said there was food on the stove, his mum was doing some sort of art stuff. It was late afternoon. He said he came in with a shotgun and shot her. He said that it was quite messy. She said as Mr. Britton made those comments, he was majorly distraught. Incomprehensible. He was broken, she said. When told by Mr. Robinson in cross-examination that the conversation never happened, Miss Jarvis said she can't make up anything like that. Miss Jarvis said Mr. Britton had told them he had been ordered by his father, Ian Britton, to kill his mother because the couple were having marital problems. But when Mr. Devlin fronted the court, when asked if Mr. Britton had admitted to him and Miss Jarvis that he killed his mum, he said he did not recollect that conversation. He said he would remember a conversation like that. Parts of Miss Jarvis's criminal history, which included drug offences, were read out to the court. Drugs! Mr. Robinson also questioned whether she had knowledge of a $250,000 reward in relation to the case, which she denied, but a tape played to the court revealed she told police she was waiting on the reward. Ex-partner speaks of conversations. Tracy Lampart was in a brief sexual relationship with Mr. Britton before and after the death of his mother. On Thursday, she told the court she and Mr. Britton, who she and other friends called Crispy, regularly smoked cannabis together and spoke about killing his mother and her father. Unbelievable. We'd stir Crispy up saying he loved his mum. He said the best thing for her would be to drag her up the hill and have her head hit the rocks, Mrs. Lampart said. He said he wouldn't do it as she's not worth going to jail for. Miss Lampart said Mr. Britton also told her about wanting to bludgeon his mother to death with a blunt object. On another occasion, was a couple of weeks before his mum passed away, there were maybe some problems between his mum and dad, and his dad had been caught rooting around. She said, there you go. Chris was telling me that his mum had found out and the best thing for her would be a bullet. He said he would never do anything like that, as she had already ruined his life enough. Miss Lampart said Mr. Britton was never serious when he made the comments, and they were said lightheartedly, without malice. Father denies involvement. On Wednesday, the court heard Robert Davis, a friend of Mr. Britton's father, Ian, who had appeared via video link from Thailand. Mr. Davis told the court he and Ian discussed knocking off their wives in the months leading up to Dorothy's death. There was no thought of going through with that. It wasn't a threat. It was talking conversation, Mr. Davis said. In a 2018 police interview played before the court, Mr. Britton denied involvement in his mother's death, instead accusing his father, Ian Britton, of involvement by potentially recruiting a third party. Also, giving evidence from Thailand earlier this week when asked, Ian Britton denied any involvement in Dorothy Britton's death. Friends of Mr. Britton have also given evidence attesting to being with him at various times between March 6th and 7th. But his then housemate Damien Lloyd told the court he did see Mr. Britton wandering around the Early Beach Esplanade alone around 10 p.m. on the night of March 6th. And the trial is set to continue until at least the middle of next week. He shot his mum to death. Don't spoil your son's single mums. This is Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.